Good afternoon, dear friends. Ukraine Media Center continues its work, and I'd like to remind you that we are supported by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. We are hosted by Skyloft Hotel. We'd like to thank them very much for that. Right now in our studio we have Oleksandr Motuzyanyk, spokesman of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Good afternoon, welcome. Oleksandr, could you please tell us what's happening at the front lines now? You have the floor. Thank you. Dear friends, welcome everybody. I'd like to share with you information about Russia's military aggression against Ukraine. Information as of noon today, April 18, 2022. Armed forces of the Russian Federation continue creation of an assault formation in eastern area of operations. At the same time, the enemy continues rocket and bomb strikes against Ukrainian infrastructure facilities. In particular, the number of flights by tactical aviation has increased by more than 50%. The occupiers prepare for offensive action in eastern Ukraine in order to take full control of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast and maintain stable ground corridor with the occupied territory of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea. At the moment, the aggressor has almost practically completed regrouping its troops for an offensive action in eastern area of operation. Strengthening of the offensive formation is due to bringing new units, Russian units. The most intense combat actions have been in Slobozhanщina and Donetsk areas of operation. In southern Buga area, the enemy has been strengthening its positions already taken and trying to take full control over Oleksandrivka. Now briefly about the main areas of operations. In Volyn and Polissa areas, the enemy has carried out no active actions, but at the same time, any signs of offensive formations being created are not found there either. Units of Belarusian army continue protecting Belarus-Ukraine border in Brest and Gomel Oblast, while Russian units in those areas continue electronic intelligence, SIGINT. From the territory of the Republic of Belarus, broken armed vehicles of Russian armed forces are transported by railway. At the same time, there is still a threat of use of sabotage groups from the territory of Belarus, as well as rocket and aviation airstrikes against military and civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. In Siversk area, the enemy strengthened control of the border and carries out engineering fortification of its positions around the checkpoints and border districts of Bryansk and Kursk Oblast. We can exclude sabotage groups of the enemy and rocket strikes from Russian Federation in that area. In Slobozhanщina area, Russian occupiers continue partial siege of Kharkiv and try to fire Ukrainian units, Ukrainian troops defending the city. In order to expand its positions in the left side of Seversky Donetsk and create preconditions for deployment of its troops, they did combat reconnaissance around Zavod, Dmitrievka and Dibrovna, but incurred significant losses and the enemy was forced to withdraw. In Donetsk and Tavria area, Russian occupiers continue shelling firing of Siversk and Pokrovska. Also, the enemy has been restoring combat capacity and trying to improve tactical situation of its units. The aggressor focuses its main efforts near Liman, Kremenna, Popasna and Drubizhne towns and tries to take full control of Mariupol. The enemy has unsuccessfully tried to strengthen positions around Kremenna and Drubizhne and carried out assault actions around Novotoshkivska, Popasna, Avdiivka and Marinka, but again to no avail. It's worth emphasizing that in Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast over the last day, Ukrainian troops have resisted 12 attacks of the enemy, destroyed 10 tanks, 15 armed vehicles and 5 cars and trucks, as well as 5 artillery systems of the enemy. Ukrainian air forces during the last day downed 5 targets, in particular 1 airplane, 3 helicopters and 1 UAV or drone. In Mariupol area, the enemy continues airstrikes against the city, including using Tupolev 22 M3 long-range bombers. Also, the enemy has been conducting assault actions around Seaport and Azovstal steel factory. Around Tokmak, town of Tokmak, the aggressor has been improving fortifications in its previously taken positions and districts. In southern Bulgaria, units of the 8th and 49th Army, as well as 22nd Corps of the enemy, have been trying to strengthen their positions and firing the positions of Ukrainian troops. In order to improve their tactical situation, the occupiers have been carrying out offensive action around town of Oleksandrivka. In the future, they will obviously try to get to administrative boundaries of Kherson Oblast. At the same time, the enemy has been restoring its combat capacity, replenishing ammunition, fuel, and lubricants, doing reconnaissance and fortifying its positions. In Black Sea and Azov Sea areas of operations, the groups of enemy's ships continue implementing their tasks about making rocket strikes against facilities, targets in Ukraine, as well as isolation of our sea coast and reconnaissance. In Black Sea, at the moment, there have been 5 Russian ships which carry Caliber type cruise missiles. Their total capacity is at least 36 rockets in one launch. At the end, I would announce the losses incurred by the enemy from 24th of February until the 18th of April this year. So, tentatively, they're as follows: about 20,600 soldiers and officers dead, 790 tanks, 2,041 armed fighting vehicles, 381 artillery systems, 130 multiple launch rocket systems, 67 air defense systems, 167 airplanes and 147 helicopters, 1,487 cars and trucks, 8 ships and boats, 155 tactical level UAVs, 27 special vehicles, and 4 mobile tactical missile launch machines. Ukrainian Defense Forces continue its operation to resist armed aggression, military aggression against our country, demonstrating exceptional courage and heroism. That's it at the moment. Thank you for attention. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes. Dear colleagues, you're welcome to ask your questions. Please use the microphone and introduce yourself.
Caleb Larson. Excuse me. Thank you. Caleb Larson, the New York Sun. Can you comment on Ukrainian actions in the east targeting Russian supply lines and if that's a priority? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Ukrainian troops cannot be discussed in public. Of course, taking into account the intensity and increase in the number of Russian troops in the east, this is one of our priorities, but the priority of Ukrainian armed forces includes the whole territory of Ukraine. We watch carefully the actions taken by Russian Federation in Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts, and the leadership, the commanders of Ukrainian armed forces and other military formations makes every effort, including preventive actions in order to push back enemy's attacks. Thank you. Any more questions?
In social media, there was an information that ZSU freed some villages around Izium, Kharkov Oblast. Can you confirm it? And if it's true, can you tell us more about that operations? Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, I can confirm that a number of villages have been liberated by Ukrainian armed forces as a result of intense combat actions. I cannot provide you with any more information, but I have to say that in Slobozhanщина area, the town of Izum and its suburbs are the area of the highest concentration of Russian units. That's from there where they will try to develop their offensive action to the east. Thank you. Any more questions?
Aldama with Bocento Group in Spain. Often soldiers will say that they need more weapons. I would like to know if you have enough supplies, and if not, what kind of weapons should the European Union send? What are the priorities for that?
Thank you. First of all, on behalf of the leadership of the command of Ukrainian Armed Forces, I would like to thank every country who has been supporting Ukraine and actively helping us. We do need weapons. Europe has to understand that currently Ukraine has been defending not only its territory, it has been defending also the territory of Europe and the whole civilized world. So yes, we do need weapons. First of all, we are talking about armored vehicles, air defense systems in order to to protect our cities, which have been regularly bombed by Russian Federation and have been targeted by rocket strikes. Also, other weapons would help counter-artillery tools and SIGINT radio-electronic intelligence tools, but we'll appreciate all sorts of help provided by every country to Ukrainian defenders. Thank you. Any more questions? Good afternoon, Viktor Melnikov from CGTN. Could you please tell us in a bit more detail about the situation in Mariupol and in Azovstal steel factory, and how the Ministry of Defense assesses so-called decisive battle for Donbass, which is being discussed? I will tell you one thing. Due to those people who have been defending Mariupol now, Ukrainian armed forces have managed to achieve significant success in difficult directions, in different areas of operations, in different directions where Russian Federation tries to advance. Mariupol has concentrated on itself a lot of enemy's troops, so its defenders resist, and it prevents Russia from moving those units, those troops to other areas. The situation in Mariupol has been extremely difficult. The city has been under siege. Actually, there is a humanitarian crisis there. Mariupol has been damaged a lot because of rocket strikes, bombings, and artillery shelling, which have been carried out by Russian Federation almost practically around the clock. But still, the Russian army has not managed to completely take Mariupol, and that's due to the courage of Ukrainian armed forces and other military formations, Ukrainian military formations there. I mean both Azov Regiment and Ukrainian Marines, as well as units of territorial defense, which have also been defending Mariupol. Thank you. You're welcome. One more question. Like Russian troops have downed our aircraft with NATO technicians on board. How could it affect the development of this? I don't confirm this information. You don't confirm it? No, I don't confirm it. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you. More question?
La Repubblica. Inside the steel factory in Azovstal, are there many civils? Is it officially confirmed or not?
So I cannot hear you. Many what?
Civil people.
No, I'm not authorized to discuss it. The combat action in Mariupol, including in the territory of Azovstal factory, I cannot comment on that. You have to understand me. Thank you, Oleksandr. Thank you for joining us. Could please monitor our schedules? We are preparing our schedule for tomorrow now. We'll be informing you using Telegram